So, pardon my little frog in my throat. I've been putting together this training for the last couple hours. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a very special training, as I mentioned. Hello, my Life with Crypto brothers and sisters. Thank you, Jason, for letting us know you're listening in today from Minnesota. Oh, it's cold where you guys are. Craig, nice nice to have you here. From Pennsylvania, it's cold out your direction as well. I have some friends in Wisconsin, and it's cold there. They got lots of snow. So let me start again. It was so nice to check in with everybody. Yannick from the city that never sleeps, New York State. It's a New York state of mind. Not sure what I'm going to do to get my voice to work. I didn't know it was having trouble until I started talking. Well, we'll do our best. I'm going to keep going. The content will be there. I apologize for my voice. I'm not sure what's going on, but we're going to get going. So, hello, my Life with Crypto brothers and sisters. Welcome to another Money Monday crypto training. I'm your host, Kelly Sunshall. Today starts an 8-week journey on the topic of must-know blockchain narratives to watch. In this session, I'm going to reveal all 8 blockchain narratives that I'm going to cover over the coming weeks. Then I'll talk about the first one that's on my list. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we begin, let's discuss first what exactly is a blockchain. Now, I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail. I've done that over the years so many times. I know I haven't done it with this group. And if you guys want to know more specific, what is a blockchain? Because there's really many different kinds. Most people don't realize that. We've just defaulted to calling everything a blockchain when that technically is incorrect. Blockchain is a type of distributed ledger, and I'll leave it at that. If you want to know more, put something in the comments, and I'll post some content within Facebook. So here's a short answer to what is a blockchain. A blockchain is a distributed database or a ledger shared among a network of computer nodes, and each node is owned and managed by a person or a company. Blockchains are best known for their crucial role in cryptocurrency applications for maintaining a secure and decentralized record of transactions. However, they are not limited to just the cryptocurrency use case. Blockchains are used in many different ways across many industries. So in this 8-part training series, we will explore other ways blockchains are used, and I call these blockchain narratives. So as promised, here is my list of all 8 of the narratives that we will cover. I'll just run through the list and then we'll come back and talk about number 1. First off is all about Bitcoin. Now, obviously, I'm not going to go literally into all about Bitcoin, but this is the narrative as I've been following it. So it's outside of Bitcoin as a currency. We're going to uncover what I call the dark side of Bitcoin and hopefully how to overcome it. Learn how Bitcoin technology is advancing and what's happening to the Bitcoin network. The next one is all about altcoins. What constitutes an altcoin and what blockchains do they use? Why were they created? How are altcoin blockchains different from the Bitcoin blockchain? We'll talk about blockchain use cases, discover blockchain applications and real-world use cases. Check out some of the industries and companies that use blockchain technology every day. Another narrative, crypto and money. Can crypto be used as money? Can I buy groceries with it or pay my taxes? Who manages it and does the government control it? This was originally one of the main reasons I got involved with crypto, Bitcoin specifically, years and years ago, is I wanted to use it as money. I thought it might help my accounting clients at the time because they spend so much money on transaction fees, credit card transaction fees, merchant service fees. It's crazy how much money we have to spend just to pay a company so that we can transact with each other electronically. And Bitcoin basically removed all of that until recently. I'll get into that in a little bit. So the next narrative on my list is the heart of blockchain. So we'll explore how blockchain helps humanitarian efforts worldwide. Learn about nonprofits who are harnessing blockchain for positive social impact. Another narrative is identity and privacy. This was another topic that really got me excited about blockchain early on. We'll learn about self-sovereign identity and how it will someday change the way we manage our personal data on the internet. Blockchain and the internet. We're going to explore Web 2, Web 3, the Internet of Things, and some other related topics in that narrative. And the last one is tax and regulation. In this narrative, we'll look at the U.S. government and what their stance is on blockchain and crypto. Are all blockchains treated equally? So there's our list of 8 that we're going to go over, that we'll go over for the next 8 weeks. For today, I'm going to start out talking about part 1, all about Bitcoin. So it's a little bit of play on words, but I wanted to call this because I started looking at what I called the dark side of Bitcoin years ago. But I got to admit that the dark side of Bitcoin has changed over time. When I first was looking at the dark side of Bitcoin, it had a lot to do with scams. And scams are so prevalent right now that they're not just about Bitcoin. And we talk about scams and how to avoid them all the time. If you haven't seen some of my trainings I've done on scams and how to avoid them, go check out the guides section in Facebook. Because I have done many. And if you want to know more, please just put a comment in the comment section and I'll do some more. But what I want to talk about is something slightly different today about the dark side of Bitcoin. And then I'm also going to talk about Bitcoin ordinals and inscriptions and how they are changing the Bitcoin network. So first off, the dark side of Bitcoin for me right now is the constant discussion among some people in the world about Bitcoin's energy use. And my question to you and to myself and others is it really a problem? Now, this topic has been around for many years, and my answer is, I don't think so. And I've thought this for many years. So years ago, I read a study that was done comparing Bitcoin's energy use with the energy use of the traditional financial industry, TradFi. It's much easier to say. In a nutshell, the study found that Bitcoin at that time used less energy than the TradFi industry. And unfortunately, I looked and looked and looked. I could not find the study that I had found years ago. It's, buried in my archive somewhere, or it's on an old computer that I no longer have. I couldn't find the original study, but I remember it clearly because I was very surprised at the time to learn that Bitcoin's energy use at that time was much less than TradFi. So what can we learn today about Bitcoin's energy use? One of the women that I follow in TradFi, her name is Lynn Alden. I highly recommend you follow her content if you can find her on the internet. So Lynn Alden, a prominent investment advisor in TradFi, wrote an article, I believe in December of last year, on this very subject. And back in 2017, Newsweek ran a piece that stated Bitcoin mining would consume all the world's energy by 2020. I mean, they were really playing this up. And at the time, I couldn't figure out why certain areas of the world were so worried about the energy usage of Bitcoin. I'll talk more about that in just a minute. Now I think I have a clue. But obviously, all of the world's energy has not been used by 2020 or by 2023. In fact, the University of Cambridge is the most cited source for estimating Bitcoin's energy consumption, and they place its estimated annualized rate at under 100 terawatt hours. Even at its estimated peak of 150 terawatt hours, that's all it was. Now, the world uses over 176,000 terawatt hours of energy per year. That means that the entire Bitcoin network at its peak of consumption used only about 0.1% of the world's total energy use. So what's the big deal? That's a good question. So why is there an agenda against Bitcoin's proof of work blockchain? That to me is what's really under attack. The energy use is caused by proof of work. Very, very brief explanation. The Bitcoin blockchain is let me put it this way. The Bitcoin tokens are created or generated through a process that requires activity. The activity is, of course, done by the computer. It's called proof of work. So inside the Bitcoin software, there's some work that the computer has to do. It's basically a mathematical puzzle, and every node on the network has to compete to solve that puzzle. Whoever solves the puzzle first, which requires electricity and computing power, whoever solves the puzzle first wins the prize, so to speak. And the prize is their version of the next block gets to be added to the blockchain. Now, this does use energy because it's work that is done by a device that uses electricity, the computer. But it's also, let me read what I've written here rather than ad lib here too much. I personally believe that the reason there's an agenda against Bitcoin's proof of work is about control. Proof of work blockchains are not easily manipulated. One miner, so a computer node, we call them a miner. One miner needs to own at least 33 to 40% of all the mining capacity, also known as hash rate, in order to rewrite the chain to its liking. Currently, that is very unlikely to happen within the Bitcoin blockchain because it hasn't happened yet. Bitcoin's been around a while. Now, it would be nice if Bitcoin's blockchain had more diversity, but it's still not a problem as far as one miner controlling too much of the hash rate. So I'm going to say a little bit more. I didn't write it in my notes here, but why is that a problem? Let me say it this way. The Ethereum blockchain was a proof of work blockchain until recently, until I believe last year. Yes, it was last year. The years go flying by these days. Last year, Ethereum converted from a proof of work blockchain to a proof of stake blockchain. And, I scratched my head about that and I thought, why would they do that? Now, there's lots of reasons I read in the networks, in the communities of which I'm a part. I've read many of these really smart young guys. I read their explanations, and they're all financial explanations that say, well, it's going to be deflationary now that proof of stake has been created. And before, proof of work was inflationary. Well, that was that was created by the very people that invented the Ethereum blockchain. So the fact that it started out inflationary and then by moving to proof of stake, it becomes deflationary, that was to me a problem in its original design. And I won't go into the specifics, but I'll say this much. Bitcoin's tokens, which are also called Bitcoins, the Bitcoin blockchain's tokens, known as Bitcoins, get generated every 10 minutes in a block. So that is spread out over many, many years before all of the tokens are going to get put out into the blockchain, into the market, I should say. The point that I want to make is that by having Ethereum move to a proof of stake network, the people who are chosen to validate transactions on the network are those with the most money. So it used to be that proof of work, anybody with a computer could help to validate transactions, also known as a miner, on the networks and earn some Bitcoin potentially, or earn some Ethereum or ETH. I have a buddy here in my town who created a little mining operation for Ethereum and was making some money there for a while. And then they changed things, and now he has all this equipment, and it's doing him no good. And a lot of people were upset by that when this happened. So let's get back to the proof of work agenda. I believe it's about control. How are you going to control 33 to 40% of a proof of work blockchain? You have to have warehouses full of computers. And these computers that are special computers that are mining computers that will validate transactions. And there are several of those warehouses around the world, but it is a very expensive thing to do. On the Ethereum blockchain, now that it's proof of stake, that problem doesn't exist. The problem is the people with the most money control it. And I haven't done enough research to be able to spit out a bunch of numbers to tell you just how much everybody that's involved in the proof of stake on Ethereum has. But I still believe that proof of work is much more secure, is the word I want to use, than proof of stake. And I'm not a developer, believe me, but this has been my belief all along since I've been following all these different blockchains. Is proof of work is much more difficult to hack. The Bitcoin blockchain has never been hacked. It's the applications that interact with it that have been hacked. The Ethereum blockchain, I hate to say, it was hacked. That's why they did a fork of it way back when, and it created the Ethereum Classic chain versus what they call the regular Ethereum chain. And I wish I were a developer sometimes and could explain more how it got hacked, but I don't know. So that's something to consider. The dark side of Bitcoin is there's an agenda that believes it uses too much energy, and I believe it's because they want blockchains that are more easily controlled on the back end. Blockchain is not easily controlled on the back end. Ethereum is, I believe, easier to control on the back end. Now, will that happen? I can't say. But let's go on and look at the next piece, which is Bitcoin's civil war. And this little civil war, which sometimes is not so little, is about ordinal inscriptions. I'm curious if anybody that's listening has ever heard of the ordinal inscriptions. If you have, put a 1 in the comments. The bottom line of this Bitcoin civil war is that core developer purists, as I call them, think Bitcoin should just be used as money, payments, and digital gold. And I'm going to agree with that. But since the Bitcoin Taproot upgrade that was done in 2021, new kids on the block want to expand Bitcoin's use case to mimic the flexibility and power found on the Ethereum network. The Bitcoin software is incapable of creating smart contracts that can be programmed to do all kinds of things, such as non-fungible NFTs. Basically, what happens in these ordinal inscriptions is that extra information can now be coded into a regular Bitcoin transaction. This might be a text or an image or something that gets added to an actual transaction. But you'll need the correct software to decode this extra piece that's been added to the transaction and see what it is. The problem with this new flexibility is some people think it's really cool. The problem with this new flexibility is some people think it's really cool, but it has congested the network with ordinal inscriptions. So there's a lot of people that think this flexibility is really cool. And there's, I think it's the younger population, I really do. They're really into NFTs, and they wanted NFT capability on the Bitcoin network. Because there's some places around the world where the Bitcoin network is still, the Bitcoin blockchain is still the biggest chain in their country. You know, I think of places in Africa especially. So this has caused the cost of each Bitcoin transaction to skyrocket. So the problem that I'm having with these ordinal inscriptions is not what they do. You know, what they are is, you know, if people want that, I have no problem with that. The problem I'm having is that the Bitcoin network was never designed for this. And because it's been, they did this upgrade, which allowed this extra content to be added to each transaction. And now there's, I don't know how many, I'll make up a number, hundreds of thousands of more transactions. And that's causing the price of a transaction to go sky high. For example, I've been trying to transfer some Bitcoin that I bought on Coinbase and transfer it to my personal wallet for months. But the transaction fee has been, the last time I checked, around $25. And normally it would be less than $1. So these ordinal inscriptions are really causing an uproar. And there is a fight going on between the core developers, which I'll say are the original Bitcoin developers, with the new up and coming, we'll say, youngsters who want to be able to do more with the Bitcoin blockchain. I personally wish that they would leave it alone and let it be what it is, which is, I've always seen it as digital money, a payment system, and potentially for me, it's been digital gold. But it's getting changed to be more than that. And I'm afraid that this is going to potentially cause the Bitcoin blockchain to lose its top stance. But, that's total speculation on my part. So take it with a grain of salt. So that is all I have for you today. I apologize for being a little bit late. I wish I'd had a little bit more time to fine tune some of the comments that I want to make, but I think that you probably got something good out of it. And if you did, please let me know in the comments. And if there's anything that you would like to have me cover related to this topic, please let me know. I'm happy to go a little bit deeper. Understanding blockchain narratives is an essential part of becoming a successful crypto investor. Understanding the broader landscape will help you make informed decisions. Some people think that this ordinal inscription stuff is going to be the doom of Bitcoin. I don't know. I don't see that happening this year. I still see a Bitcoin bull run coming later on in the year this year. After the couple years after this, who knows? There could be so many new blockchains out there that it may unseat Bitcoin. It may not. So all I can tell you is stay curious, keep learning, and share your thoughts or questions in the comment sections. That's all I have for you tonight. I will see you all next week. Bye for now.